Okay, so I'm going to talk about my 3 units now. So that's Unit 2, Unit 3 and Unit 4. First unit is basically around setting the scene for innovation and entrepreneurship. One of the key aspects I want to do in this unit is to help us try and build a common understanding about what we mean by innovation. Now that might seem a bit obvious. We all know what innovation is. Well, I'd like to tell you a little bit about a study I'm currently doing with a public sector body. During this period of austerity, this particular public sector body has been asked to basically do more with less money. The solution that both the government and this public sector organisation is proposing to solve this conundrum is innovation. Doing more through less by innovating in the way that they do things, the way that the services they deliver, etc. In order to achieve that, the organisation has set a strategy which is based around innovation. Now, you can't just have a strategy around innovation without reorientating the organisation and talking to the employees about what they think innovation is. And so I did a study in this particular organisation that looked at people's perceptions of what they thought innovation was and what they thought success was in relation to that and why they thought innovation was being undertaken. And what was really interesting is that there was a multitude of perspectives and perceptions around what innovation was. Some thought it was only about products like technology, some thought it was about services, some thought it was about organisational processes, some thought it was any idea of any type that happened. So a huge breadth of notions of what innovation was. There was also a broad diversity of ideas about what degree of novelty was required. So some thought it had to be radical to be an innovation. Others thought even the slightest incremental change was innovation. I think the other thing which was really interesting was that different individuals thought a measure of success for innovation was very different depending on their function. So some thought success was about something to do with the innovation itself, what the features were, something that was faster, something that was stronger, something that was done with more functionality. Others were only interested about the outcomes that were achieved from that innovation. So there are lots of ways in which we as individuals can view innovation, partly to do with the degree of novelty, partly to do with the type of innovation, product, service, etc., and partly to do with what we think the success or the way we might measure the success of that and the outcomes of that innovation might be. So this is why I think it's really important, although it might seem trivial up front, to actually reflect on what do we mean by innovation. So what types of innovation are we talking about? What degree of novelty? What are the objectives we're trying to achieve? And going back to the example I was talking a few minutes ago about the public sector organisation, if this organisation is going to successfully implement an innovation strategy, then it needs to ensure its employees have a common understanding about what they think innovation is, why they're doing it, and to what ends. So in Unit 2 then, we are going to be looking at trying to get a common understanding of what we think innovation is. It doesn't mean that we have to have the same view, but we have to have a knowledge of the fact that there might be multiple views of what success is, what innovation is. So I think that's really important to set that bedrock for the Units 3, 4 onwards for when we think about what innovation is.